of those emails that are disclosed, I think the more issues are raised. I have friends who work in the State Department who are now describing getting emails from that private server from other people, not Secretary Clinton, but people in her inner circle who are also using it. That's another chapter that is coming in this.
And who were some of those other people? We've heard of who Uma might be.
You'll have to stay tuned to the Washington Post. We'll give you those names as soon as we have them. Look at that.
So other people in Hillary's inner circle were using her private server. So that's more emails that apparently have been done away with, not just Hillary's emails, according to David Ignatius of the Washington Post. Joining us now is Tom Borelli, Senior Fellow at FreedomWorks at freedomworks.org, and Larry Elder, radio host and author of Dear Father, Dear Son, 2 Lives, 8 Hours. And gentlemen, I happened to stumble upon this. I haven't seen this talked about too much. If David Ignatius is correct, and I don't think he would say something like that if he didn't plan on having it published in the Washington Post very soon, Larry, like he said, a new chapter is about to be burst wide open.
And of course, it undermines the argument that Hillary gave, which is that she had this on her private server for convenience. She didn't want to carry around more than one device. What does her convenience have to do with allowing other people to use that private email server? This is bad if it's true.
Yeah, Tom?
It's going to be a great boom for investigative journalism. I mean, this is every day there's a new revelation, and now even the Washington Post can't resist. We had the front page New York Times story on the Clintons. So I think this is a pattern that's going to it's going to be the gift that keeps on giving for conservatives.
Now, there's a story today, a Kazakh official involved in brokering that controversial mining deal for the Clinton Foundation donor is now in jail. And this puts really a problem into the Clinton fact check, which had said that they dismissed any ethical questions about Hillary's ties to this lucrative contract. Again, this is something that's not being widely reported or discussed either. I mean, I know, Larry, we have Deflategate, and we're concerned about Tom Brady's balls, but I mean, come on, these are stories here that aren't being talked about, and they center around Hillary again.
Are you sure you don't want to rephrase that about
No, hey,
Tom
are
Brady's?
you kidding? I can show you every headline in papers from all over the country. That's tame by comparison.
Look, this official that's now behind bars who brokered this deal, we don't know why he's behind bars. We don't know whether or not he committed some sort of act that's related to what's going on. All I know, it's another ugly headline, and it's going to just keep reverberating all throughout the campaign.
Yeah, Tom, I mean, I just think that, I don't know, I'd like to think the media is, I don't know what, because they have been out front in many respects, the Times, the Washington Post, and other liberal publications and pundits. They've taken her to task. But when things like this come up, it seems like they ignore it, and I think they're being a little selective here.
Well, the media always is selective when it comes to the truth, especially if protecting the Clintons. But I think this story is going to be too much for them really to resist over time, because at the end of the day, it's really going to sell papers. It's really generating news. And the Clinton fact check itself, I went there today, and the first line, it mentions the Koch brothers. So how credible can their fact check be when they mention the Koch brothers in the first line? And
guys, we don't have to. We'll pick this up in the next segment. 7 questions I believe Hillary has been asked by the media since the day she announced. 7 questions, and she didn't even answer them all. And I think Bill Clinton has done her so much more harm than good. Dick Morris said on this show to me that based on what he saw on NBC with Clinton, he said I thought Bill Clinton had a stroke. I mean, and I'm not saying that obviously, but he certainly isn't the slick Bill Clinton that we've become used to, except in the way the words he uses. We're coming back with more of the panel. Don't go away. All right, folks, welcome back. It's Malzberg Panel Part 2. Tom Borelli and Larry Elder. It was, to me, blatantly obvious, gentlemen, that Lindsey Graham was going to get in this race. The way he had talked, in recent weeks leading up to what's going to be his announcement in June, I believe, that he's running for president. I'm sorry, Larry. Why is he wasting his time and our time? I don't get it.
Well, I guess he feels that if he can't win in 2016, he won't have an opportunity again. Look, you never know what's going to happen. I mentioned earlier, I remember when Jimmy Carter threw his hat in the ring, he was at 1%. Nobody knew who the hell he was. A former governor of a southern state, a small southern state. He became a nominee. He became president. Anything can happen.
Yeah, I guess that's true, Tom. I guess that's true.
I guess the way I see it is, I guess it proves that power is really not only addictive, but hallucinogenic when it comes to Lindsey Graham. I mean, I don't know what he's thinking, but if you go to Conservative Review, he has an F in terms of his votes with voting on conservative principles, and he has a Liberty score of 49%, meaning he's only voted conservative 49% of his Senate votes over a 6-year period. So
I don't
he
know
certainly
what primary
and
he
he's
could
from
win.
South Carolina.
Right.
There's no excuse for him to be like he is, being that he's from South Carolina.
Right. I like I said.
And Tom, when Rush Limbaugh calls you Graham-nesty, you're in trouble.
Right. All right. So, the numbers. Let's talk numbers. The jobs numbers came out today. The Bureau of Labor Statistics, and of course, 225 or so thousand jobs created. Unemployment rate goes down again, the lowest it's been in 100,062 years. But, ladies and gentlemen, America has 93,194,000 Americans out of the labor force, and if you want to take that to women, Democrats and Hillary, a record 56,167,000 women. That is a 27-year low on women participation in the labor force. It is a disaster, Tom.
Well, numbers are, obviously huge. Let's put this in perspective. There's 300 million people in the United States. Almost a third of the people are not working. And think about the drain that is to our economy in terms of tax revenue and everything else. It's really outrageous.
And Larry, how many people have lesser jobs now, or trying to get by with 2 jobs? They were making a good living, and now they've accepted accepted lesser jobs, so they don't even count as unemployed. But when all the ones that have given up and dropped out, it seems like every month the participation number goes down, or goes those not participating goes up.
A few months ago, the CEO of Gallup, and Gallup is not a partisan organization, of course, came out with a piece, and he said the unemployment rate at the time was 5.5%, I believe. He said it was, quote, a lie, close quote, precisely for the reasons that you mentioned. The labor force participation rate is at a 35 or 37-year low. These are the percentage of people that are in the job market or looking for a job, because so many people just said to hell with it and have given up. This is the worst recovery since the Second World War, and by some standards, the worst recovery ever.
Yeah, and I read a report on Breitbart just before we started this segment. I should have brought it in with no big deal, but it talked about how since the economic crisis and since the so-called recovery has started, the women who have benefited, and basically the only women who have benefited statistically, are immigrant women. Women who were raised in this country, who worked in this country, have a net loss of jobs, but those who are not born in this country have a net gain of jobs. It's just not good, and that's why I don't understand, Larry, how Barack Obama ever got reelected with the economy the way it was, and that's why I can't fathom how somebody unless she runs totally away from Obama's economic policies, I don't understand how any Democrat gets elected touting Obama's quote-unquote successes.
Well, they always have the media in their back pocket, and the media will not tell the truth about how bad the economic numbers are. It's a huge, huge advantage for them, and that's what they're going to rely on. But you're right. The only way she can win is to say the economy sucks. If she says that, that means President Obama's economic policies didn't work, which means when Obama comes out and brags about how well things are doing, he's not telling the truth. She can't do that. That's why she's stuck. She's stuck arguing for a third term for the Obama administration, and most Americans feel that we're on the wrong track economically, so it's not going to sell.
Yeah, final word, Tom.
Yeah, the numbers don't lie. Not enough people working, and I imagine the black unemployment rate's probably twice whites anyway again.
That's right.
So,
yeah, and you look at the cities like Baltimore and other places. I mean, it's
right.
just,
Then you wonder.
Oh my God, it's just a disaster. But blame it on the Republicans.
That's
We're
right.
not spending enough money, and they won't let us fund Baltimore. Gentlemen, have a great weekend. Larry and Tom, appreciate it as always.
You too.
All right, folks. We brought back our viewer call-in segment here on the Steve Malzberg Show, but we need you to be proactive. It's not like, hey, I say, hey, why don't you give me a call right now, and I give you a phone number and you dial it in. You have to reach out to us in advance and, in effect, register with us. So if you want to be a participant on the viewer call-in segment of the Steve Malzberg Show, send me an email. Do it now. Send the email to call Steve at Newsmax.com. That's call Steve at Newsmax.com. Let us know how we could reach you during the day, and we could try to work this out and set it up. And we're doing this because we want to hear from you. Up next, Matt Whitaker. Don't go away.